Happy Thursday, Pride Dynasty League. Week 13's in the books. And I gotta say, it was a pretty good day in fantasy and in the NFL. The playoff picture is starting to come together. So let's go ahead and do the recap for week 13. Disabled Vigilantes going up against Stacking Yards. And Stacking Yards kind of needed this to keep his playoff hopes alive. Either way, Disabled Vigilantes comes in taking no quarter. This team's looking kind of dangerous here late in the season. Disabled Vigilantes for the win. Next we had Agent Smith going up against Griffey Cakes. And I picked Griffey Cakes to win this, and he damn near did. Agent Smith has been hobbled by his quarterback room almost all season, but he hasn't let that stop him. He is still one of the top ranking members in this league. Fantasy stud 4 times. In case you didn't know, folks, that's the season high. Agent Smith continues to find a way to get victories. Will he be so lucky this week? Next we had Dunder Mifflin going up against those West Coast Giants. And the boys in Scranton have their eyes on that week 1 bye. Dunder Mifflin making it a little bit harder for those West Coast Giants to get a playoff berth. Dynasty Sage versus Unfuckwittable. No one cares. Dynasty Sage won, like I predicted. Next, we had those Hollywood Cole brothers going up against Redacted, ADP 1897. And Hollywood Cole brothers kind of needed this victory. Instead, he lets Redacted, ADP 1897, snatch victory right from his clutches. Needless to say, Hollywood Cole brothers is going to need a lot of help if he wants to make a playoff berth. Redacted, ADP 1897, he too has his eyes on that coveted number 1 spot. Next, we had The Boss going up against Wubba Lubba Dub Dub. And even though The Boss won this matchup, it seems like he's kind of walking across the finish line. And last, but certainly not least, we've got our game of the week. Chicago Chalupas going up against those classy strippers, and Chicago Chalupas put the smack down, letting everyone know why he's the number 1 team. Yes, I said it, the newcomer of the league is currently dominating everyone. Keep stunting, young fella. Doug would be proud. Chicago Chalupas gets the victory. Now for my picks, I've been doing pretty good. 4-3 for the week, but for the year, 63-28. I've been picking them, and I've been picking them well. But I have yet to get the coveted 7-0, the perfect predicted week. Will it be this week? All right. Let's go ahead and take a quick snapshot of what the league looks like before week 14 kicks off. It's a tale as old as time. We have the haves and we have the have-nots. It's safe to say with Stacking Yards' loss to Disabled Vigilantes last week, he's out of here for playoff contention. He joins Dynasty Sage, Unfuckwittable, Griffey Cakes, and Wubba Lubba Dub Dub as those that have ended their season prematurely, leaving us 9 teams with potential playoff hopes. Now, I haven't dug deep into the tiebreaker scenarios of if he wins, they lose, who gets in, what have you. I like to be surprised. But I couldn't help but go through the scenario for myself, and I do believe, regardless, win, lose, or draw, Disabled Vigilantes has clinched. Classy Strippers, The Boss, Hollywood Cole Brothers, and West Coast Giants all might need a little bit of help. So if Disabled Vigilantes has clinched, there's of no doubt that Agent Smith, Redacted, ADP 1897, Dunder Mifflin, and Chicago Chalupas have all clinched a playoff berth. The real question is, who's gonna get that number 1 spot? On the off chance that Chicago Chalupas, Dunder Mifflin, ADP 1897, and Agent Smith all end up tied, I'm not sure who's going to get the number 1 spot. But honestly, the odds of that are quite unlikely. Going into week 14, this is how I see the power rankings shaking out. Unfuckwittable, scooping up the barnacles off that boat at 14. Griffy Cakes, 13. Wubba Lubba Dub Dub at 12. Dynasty Sage at 11. Stacking Yards at 10. West Coast Giants at 9. Those Hollywood Cole brothers right outside the playoff gates at number 8. Rounding out the bottom of the playoff 7, we've got the boss. 6 classy strippers. At number 5, we've got disabled vigilantes. Agent Smith at 4. Redacted ADP 1897 at 3. Dunder Mifflin at 2. And Chicago Chalupas still holding on to that number 1 spot. Is this foreshadowing of how week 14 will end? First up, we've got disabled vigilantes going up against Agent Smith. And in week 1, Agent Smith got this victory. Will it be the same for week 14? I don't think so. Disabled vigilantes gets their revenge on Agent Smith, and more than likely we'll probably see them in the playoffs.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
Yeah, Jim. Playoffs. Next, we've got Dynasty Sage going up against Hollywood Cole brothers. And the only thing Sage is playing for is pride for the village. But Hollywood Cole brothers fighting for his playoff berth. Hollywood Cole brothers gets the win for whatever that's worth. Next up, we've got Griffy Cakes going up against Classy Strippers. And Griffy Cakes has been tenacious in these final few games of the season. Alas, I'm going to give this victory to Classy Strippers. I don't think the champion wants to risk elimination. Next, we've got West Coast Giants going up against those Chicago Chalupas. And can West Coast Giants put a dampener on Chicago Chalupas' number 1 playoff seeding hopes? Not a chance. This man's got Bailey Zappi in the lineup. There's no way Chicago Chalupas loses to West Coast Giants. Chicago Chalupas for the win. Next, we've got Wubba Lubba Dub Dub going up against Unfuckwittable. And I guess we're jockeying for position, not only for the draft people, but this week we'll solidify the have-nots position on who will be their rival next year. With that being said, I think Wubba Lubba Dub Dub has a better chance of victory than Unfuckwittable. Both teams are hot garbage on a summer day. Next, we had Redacted ADP 1897 going up against Stacking Yards. And while Stacking Yards has been unceremoniously removed from the playoff picture, has a chance to play spoiler to Redacted ADP 1897. That playoff bye essentially guarantees you some form of income for your hard work this season. I'm still going to give the win to ADP 1897. He won the week 1 matchup. I see no reason why that shouldn't continue. Redacted ADP 1897 with the victory. And last, but certainly not least, we've got Dunder Mifflin going up against the boss. And Dunder Mifflin, he too is eyeing that coveted number 1 spot. But first, he's got to go through a juggernaut in the boss. Week 1, Dunder Mifflin got this matchup. And I believe that will continue. Dunder Mifflin will sweep the boss, further muddying all of that number 7, number 6 spot for the playoff berth. With all the tiebreakers that are going to go around, this is going to be an interesting week 14. Go ahead and throw in the Discord your predictions on who will and won't make the playoffs. This is how I see the future being foretold. The boss and Dunder Mifflin going head to head for a 3rd time this season. Classy Strippers going head to head with Redacted ADP 1897. And don't get it twisted, folks. The rivalry revenge games will be on point next week as Disabled Vigilantes goes up against Agent Smith. Those are my picks. Like it or love it, giving you a little clairvoyance into my mind's eye, giving you glimpses of the future, my boys. Best of luck to all of you in your fantasy endeavors. Everyone except Agent Smith. Time to purge you from the Matrix, my boy. That's all I got for you today. Be easy. Peace.